Hello, welcome to the channel. Annie here with a thank you card featuring Tsukineko Products for Imagine Crafts. Today I'm creating a watercolor card with some embossing using the W+9 stamp and a variety of Tsukineko products. This W+9 is the Beautiful Bouquet Redonkulous. I hope I said that correctly. I'm using the Versafine Onyx Black Ink, variety of colors of Memento dewdrops in 2 shades of purple, 2 shades of green, and a shade of blue. I will also be using a VersaMarker, and I will explain that to you a little bit more in a few minutes, but I'm only going to be using it for the little berries that you see, the berry cluster you see in the stamp set. I have two card panels we're going to be working on. One is Bristol Smooth. That's what we're going to start off with. And the other one is a watercolor panel. I just want to make sure that my flowers are within the panel. It doesn't matter where I stamped it, as long as it's within the panel. I'm going to start out with the Versafine Onyx Black, and we're going to emboss this with clear embossing ink, clear embossing powder, I'm sorry, because I want to create little wells for our ink or our watercolor to stay within the lines. It's a quick and easy way to watercolor. Now I'm just, sorry I'm off screen here a little bit, but I'm just heat setting this. I move up a little bit here in a second. As you can see where it's darker, that's where it's already, the embossing has started, and where it's lighter, that's where it needs to be heat set. Once it's heat set, this nice bright black comes out and it's raised. Now it's hot. I'm going to set that to the side to cool, and we're going to work on our background panel. We're going to use Summer Sky Memento Dewdrop ink. I'm just smushing it, you know that technical word, smushing it onto my work surface here, and we're going to do a wet on wet technique here on the watercolor panel. Wet on wet is just simply you apply clean clear water onto your surface, and then you apply your ink. I add a little bit of water to my ink to get it moving, and I know that I'm going to put my flower cluster towards my left hand bottom corner, so I want to make sure I have plenty of the ink towards the top. I want to add a little bit more. It's a little too light. I'm just going to keep adding it. I'm not looking for it to be perfect, and I want it to have some darker sections and some lighter sections. It's supposed to be the sky. And I heat set it a bit, and the only reason why I'm heat setting it so quickly is because I want to add little droplets, and I'm going to use the same ink to add little droplets for a tone on tone look. I'm going to add a little bit more of the ink, so I want it a little bit darker. I'm just going to flicker it onto the card panel, and I'll bring it up to the camera here in a minute so you can see what I mean by tone on tone little droplets. I want to add a little bit more, and so that they don't start running, I'm just going to quickly heat it, not all the way, just enough to get them to start setting. Set that to the panel to the side, and let's work on our flower panel. I'm going to tape it to I'm taping it to a clipboard. You can tape it to a hardy board, any hard surface you would like that you like to use for watercoloring. We're going to do the same thing we did before. Smush our ink onto our work surface. For our flowers, we'll be using Lulu Lavender and Sweet Plum. For our leaves, we'll be using New Sprout and Bamboo Leaves. You can use, for watercoloring, a water brush like this. It looks like a pen. You could use it just like you use a pen, but it's filled with water and it has a brush tip. Now, mine has a lot of water flows out of it, so I don't feel like I can have enough control. So I'm going to use a small watercolor brush in a 000. I know it's small, but it's good to get into those small little nooks and crannies of my flowers. Do flowers have crannies? Okay, so I'm putting a nice layer first of the Lulu Lavender. Just putting it completely on all the flowers, a nice base coat layer. Then I'll go back in and add the sweet plum to the crannies. So to deepen the layers so that we have that nice contrast in our flower. So we have lighter tones and darker tones, and it'll give us a more realistic looking flower. So I just proceed by doing the same thing, filling it all in with the with the Lulu Lavender. And if you run out, just smush a little bit more and keep working. Now the little flowers have little raised areas where you can add the deep plum. I will add it there to give it a nice, like it's really falling in or coming in or blooming. It's gonna look really lovely. So here's the sweet plum, and we're gonna do the same thing. Add a little water, get the ink flowing, and as you can see, I'm just adding it to just a little, to the little creases right there on the edges. You could also do a little flicking motion from the edge upwards towards the center of your flower, similar to what you do when you're using your alcohol markers. That'll create little striations in your petals, which will make them even look more realistic. So I just keep adding that to the little areas. I don't want to completely cover the flower, just here and there, and you can skip petals too, so that you can have lighter petals and fully darker petals. In the center of my flower, I'm going to add a bit more of that sweet plum. So you can see how it's getting there. I did the same concept to the leaves. I started with the full lighter color of the new sprouts, and then I added the darker bamboo leaves. Here's our VersaMarker. It's the same thing as an embossing pad. The embossing pad. Oh my goodness. It has the same ink, it does the same thing, except it's in a pen form, and it has two tips. One is a pointy end, and one is a brush tip nib. So I'm using it to color just the berries. Well, not color. Apply embossing ink just to the berries. Then I'm going to apply gold embossing powder over the berries, and only the berries. This way I have the concentration of just in that little area. You could do this to the center of your flowers, or you can write with it, because it's a pen. You use it just like you use a pen, and it's great to use for on your houses for snow, and then you can use white embossing powder. It creates a beautiful effect. So here you can see there are the berries. I also pointing out that I added some to the center of my flowers, just little dots, and did the same thing. My sentiment I stamped with the Versafine and added the same gold embossing powder. I fussy cut our bouquet out and set it to the side. Here's our card base, and I have a piece of lavender cardstock, and all those little tabs sticking out is just the release paper for my adhesive. I have barely any nails, so I didn't want to put you through watching me peel that off. It's comical, but not really suitable for videos. So anyway, I do the same thing for both. Now here's the watercolor panel we did earlier, and I'm just adhering it over that nice lavender, leaving myself a small, about an eighth of an inch edge all around. And our bouquet is I use low profile foam adhesive to adhere it to the card panel. And I want to add my sentiment here. I thought of putting it across my flowers, but I didn't like that too much. It covered up too much of the flowers. So I still wanted it to feel connected, not floating up. So I tucked it just under one of the leaves, so it just touches, and it creates this nice little spot to add some embellishments. So for embellishments, I pulled out 3 jewels, one in a nice blue, similar to the background of the sky, and a lighter lavender and a darker lavender. And I'm applying them with my on point glue. the glue that was busted by my wonderful dog. Some items fell off my desk and I didn't catch that it was that, and he thought it was a chew toy. The bottle is still usable, but it's completely busted, so I have it in a Ziploc bag. So I just applied some to my work surface. I'm dipping my little gems into it and applying my gems to the card panel. Luckily, I have a new bottle on its way to me, hopefully sometime this week. So now our card is complete. We have used our Memento dewdrops for watercoloring. We have used the VersaFine Onyx Black Ink to emboss, and the VersaMarker, oh my goodness, that's hard for me to say, to help emboss small areas of our bouquet, like the berries. I hope you give this a try. Pull out your dewdrops and watercolor with them. Use them for something more than just stamping. Thank you for stopping by today. Until next time, thank you for watching.